Hello and welcome. I'm Andrea Kennedy, and this is the Mainstream Reiki YouTube channel. I'm so glad you're here for this video, and this is a video really geared toward Reiki practitioners and teachers out there, and so I hope you'll stay tuned. However, if you're thinking about taking Reiki training, you might find some value in this video as well. I'd like to cover a few ideas about Reiki after COVID-19. What's next for Reiki? And I want to share my thoughts with you about that. I agree with many others out there who feel that even though the pandemic has been one of great suffering for so many people all around the world and such a time of uncertainty, it has also granted us opportunities to unplug, to reflect on how we've lived our lives, how we want to live our lives, what's really important to us, and what things we might decide to leave behind. Many Reiki practitioners were having to make decisions about their practices because of the pandemic, no longer able to meet people in person for sessions or classes or Reiki shares, all of the things that we've relied on for years. However, one very positive aspect is distance Reiki because we didn't even have to pivot or reinvent the wheel, so to speak. We knew all about distance Reiki. We've been practicing it for decades, right? Since the beginning. So if you're like me, you pivoted right toward distance healing, and more people, even our clients who were used to coming to us in person, discovered that distance Reiki has a lot of benefits and can be just as powerful as an in-person session. Along those same lines, students who had always appreciated in-person classes transitioned to online classes, and we found some really wonderful benefits of online classes. Namely, you get to be in your own home with your own food and comforts and all of that kind of thing. And plus, you're more relaxed in your own home, in your own environment, which allowed the healing experiences, in my classes at least, to do a lot more deeper work for the students. And that was just something that I had not even anticipated. There are a lot of pluses, and I'm not just going to list all of those here for you, but the important part here is that online classes have been really a blessing for so many students and also teachers like myself. And there are so many positives to the online courses that I'm actually going to keep teaching online. Certainly, I'll probably end up scheduling some in-person classes as well, but I'm just so enjoying the online part that I'm going to continue that for now. As we move forward now with much of the pandemic behind us, at least we hope, we come to other questions about Reiki. And, if we have a Reiki business, what does that mean? How can we move forward now with Reiki as a business? I'd like to point out one thing, and that is marketing. And I feel that there is more of a market for Reiki than ever. One result of the pandemic is that people really started to look at their own health practices, or lack thereof, and they decided that perhaps they needed to play a more active role in creating health in their lives, which would help boost their immune systems and their general overall health and feelings of well-being. Reiki really fits the bill here because a person who takes Reiki classes literally puts a wellness tool right in their own hands. They can administer self-Reiki, they can Reiki their friends and their family, and not just in person, but at a distance too. It can help people really feel active in their own health, in maintaining it, in healing, and in thriving. Reiki is empowering. And so as Reiki practitioners and teachers, it gives us another way to promote Reiki to potential clients and students. Of course, one of the main benefits of Reiki is quieting the mind and easing anxiety. And we all know from the pandemic that the numbers of people suffering with anxiety and mental issues has really skyrocketed. There are many, many people out there seeking therapy and other mental wellness types of assistance, and their system is just overwhelmed. Again, helping people put Reiki into their own hands gives them another tool that they can use to address the mental stresses of the pandemic, like insomnia, anxiety, and help cope with the uncertainty. And if people aren't ready to learn Reiki, they certainly are probably more apt to try Reiki. And this is where you might promote your Reiki business in helping people transition back into normalcy, back into normal life, easing the mental stresses that they're feeling, lowering the anxiety, and bringing more stress reduction and relaxation into their lives. And we know that those things help promote well-being. So whether it's classes that we invite people to take or sessions that we're offering, Reiki can help. And I feel that one of the benefits of the pandemic as we move away from it is that more people are open to receive Reiki, to learn Reiki, and incorporate it into their lives. It's a wonderful time to be a Reiki practitioner. You might be wondering about legislation, though, and regulation of Reiki. That's another thing that we've been hearing about here in the United States. And what I would say to that is there's uncertainty there. And every state is going to legislate and regulate differently. Perhaps some won't even introduce legislation. And with so much uncertainty, I think it's important for us as practitioners to just become clear on what our guidance is telling us. And what I would say is if you are driven to learn Reiki, if you are driven to open a Reiki business practice, then I say do it, because by the time your state passes anything, if they can even pass anything, think of all the people that you could have helped in that length of time. Also, just because there's regulation or legislation that might be passed, it doesn't mean that you'll have to change that much about your business or what you're offering. Remember, we don't know what might be in any potential legislation, and we've seen this before. I would tell you, please don't put your life on hold out of fear that wherever you're currently living, some regulation or rule is going to come. Remember, Reiki is a spiritual practice, and in the past, it has not been regulated for that reason. I'll put some links in the description down below this video if you'd like to stay up to date on Reiki legislation and regulation so that you know what's going on in what state, and maybe you can become active and take a stand where you live. And if you're wondering if it's a good time to start a Reiki practice for a business, so to speak, I always say the answer is yes. And not just because you're going to put your life on hold for legislation, but what about the next thing that happens? Perhaps there's another wave of COVID-19. Perhaps there's another thing that comes around. Just be smart when you make decisions about your business. Don't get in over your head. And I'll put a link up top for a video that I made about how to have a professional office space and not be locked into a lease. That way, if you have to close your doors down, you're not on the hook for things while your business is limited. It's important that you remain flexible and only commit yourself to what makes sense and what you can handle as a small business owner. Of course, even if you begin to see clients in person, don't give up on your distance section of your business. You need to keep building up your distance sessions because that's a viable part of any Reiki practice. And what we saw over the last more than a year is that the distance sessions are more and more popular. More people are willing to try that. And so don't abandon that just because we might see people in person. It's a wonderful way to help more people with Reiki, and they don't have to ever travel. They can do this all in the comfort of their own home. And many people like that, even if they had the option to come to see you. But also, you can see clients internationally. You're not bound at all by proximity between the client and where your office is. So there are a lot of reasons to still invest in the distance Reiki side of your business. So those are a few of my ideas about how we move forward in the Reiki world after the pandemic. At least we're hoping it's after the pandemic. But please, if you're feeling guided to get out there and offer more Reiki or open a Reiki business, please do it. Follow the guidance because the world needs you. The world needs your light, and you can help people with Reiki. And I believe more and more people are opening up to the possibilities that Reiki offers every single day. If you're a Reiki practitioner, a teacher, or just Reiki curious, please take a second and subscribe to the channel. I've got lots of healing videos on the channel, informational videos for you as well. And I thank you for watching and wish you highest blessings.